IPv4 from here, version 4. How many bits in IPv4?
32.
32 bit. And 2 to the power of 32? Almost
4.4. Sorry,
billion.
4.3 billion.
Billion IP addresses. Very good. Okay. So it is represented in decimal format. We write in a decimal format only. So example already I given some example. You can put a 200.10.2.20 like anything you can put it. Just an example how it is look like. Now in IPv4 is 32 bit, right? So it is divided into 4 octets. It's divided into 4 octets. Octet means like this. It is 4 parts. Okay, 4 parts. It is divided into 4 parts. The part we call it as a octet. This is the octet. First octet. This is the first octet. So this is second octet, third octet, fourth octet. Okay. Some people put things like this: W, X, Y, Z. X, Y, Z. Okay. So for a easy to understand, but in a normally we call this one as a octets only. First octet, second octet, third octet. For a too easy to understand or a easy to like calculating. So based on their requirements, so they will do it like this. Okay. So first octet, second octet, third octet, and it is divided with a dot. So always you have to speak like this: 200 dot, 10 dot, 20 dot, 30. So you have to spell it as a dot, not a point. Okay, it is not a point. 10.3. 10.3.4.2. This is 10.3 normal value, 10.3 value, 10.5, 0.1, 0.2. That is point. Okay, float value. This is IP address. We have to use the word called a dot here. Okay, so first octet, second octet, third octet, fourth octet. Okay, so it is dot. What is this octet? Octet means 8 bits. How many octets we have? 4 octets means 4 into 8. So totally 32 bits we are getting. Okay, we are using 4 octets. Each octet is 8 bits. So each part of this one is 8 bits only. Each part of this one is 8 bits only. Its meaning is, again, first octet is 8 bit, second octet is also 8 bit, third octet is also 8 bit, fourth octet is also 8 bit. So totally 32 bit. Okay, what is bit? 0 or 1, right? 8 bits means starting 8 zeros, then zeros will go like this. It is in the binary. Like this, it will keep going, and finally it reach like this. This is a starting, first 8 bits, second 8 bits, third 8 bits, like this starting. It's a range. So this value is 1, 2, 3. It keep going 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, this is 254 in a decimal value, and it is 255. So this is here one single 8-bit place. Okay, and we have a lot of 8 bits are there. Each bit is like this. It means one octet ranges 0 to 255. One octet ranges 0 to 255. So if you write an IP address in the binary format, here it is look like this one. Just for an example, I am telling. Okay. So here I am trying to type 192 dot 168 dot 10 dot um, maybe 10. Okay, so like this is a thing. So if you write in a binary format, this is 192. 168 is difficult, so we'll try with the first one. 168, right? So 128 subtract, so 40 is remainder, so 64, 32 means 8. This is 168 and 10. That's why I taken a 10 to type it very easily. Okay, like this. So this is how IP address in the binary format. So it is 8 bits, 8 bits, 8 bits, 8 bits. So this is the first octet, second octet, third octet, fourth octet. First octet, second octet, third octet, fourth octet. This is octet. Okay. Guys, understand this octet kind of stuff? 8 bits, octets. Again, everyone is silent. It is divided into 4 octets. Each octet is 8 bits. 8 bit means 8 zeros or ones, like that. So starting number is 8 zeros, means 0. Next is 1, 2, 3, like that it will continue. Once all 8 zeros become ones, all bits are become ones, the value is 255. No further one. No further one. So the octet size of the octet is 0 to 255. So I showed one example IP address is in a binary format, but each octet wise, we are talking in a each octet wise. Look at here. First octet number from 0 to 255, 0 to 255, 0 to 255, 0 to 255. Means first one, any number between 0 to 255, any number from 0 to 255, any number from 0 to 255. So maximum limit is 0 to 255. Maximum number. For example, I type an IP address like a 200.240.3.129, for example. It's a valid IP address. Whatever it is, what class it is, we don't mind. First important thing is this IP address is correct IP address or not. Okay. So as per that one, look at these are the lesser than 255. It is valid IP address. 10 dot 300 dot 4 dot 28. Is this is a valid IP address?
No.
No.
How?
It is more than
Greater than
255.
256.
Very good. More than 255, it is showing 300. So more than 255 means 256 itself, not a valid one. So you can't put a 256. So when you put a 300, obviously it is invalid. So any octet, either one octet or multiple octets, more than 255, it is invalid IP address. It's not even an IP address. You know, I'm started watching a lot of web series, not web series. It is a serials only. So web series as well as a serials. But we are got in Amazon Prime and Netflix. I watched one series that is Criminal Minds. Now it is not there in Prime. Criminal Minds. So the Criminal Mind in that one. So it is like a they try to become a more technically accurate kind of stuff. So like people will see watch it now. So the guy go to one home and there is some crime is happened. There is a computer. So he said like what is the IP address? Then he said 400 dot to 200 dot 300 dot something. I get a doubt where is 400 came because it's America. Americans are much higher than our standard. It is a binary system, whether it is America or India. It's a binary system, right? So maximum size is 8 bits, means it is 0 to 255 only. Okay, so like that. So by some wrong will happens, but when you see any octet is more than 255, first of all you have to tell it is a invalid. Okay, so this is about your IP address octet wise, each octet their sizes. Now we'll try to go with the IP address range. This is the first starting IP address. Starting IP address 0.0.0.0 in a decimal format only. Next IP address. Next IP address. IP addresses will go like this only. Okay. And it will go up to like this 255. Okay. This is end 255, no 256, right? So what will happen? It become like this. Automatically 1.0, 255 becomes 0 and this is 1. Like after 99, 100 will come. After 199, 200 will come. After 999, 1000 will come. Same only. Just 0.0.1, 1.1. Again, it will continue 1.2, 1.3 kind of stuff. And finally, it reaches 1.255. Then it becomes 0.0.2.0. Okay. So like that, it keep goes. And finally, it reach 255, 255, 255, 254, 255 dot 255 dot 255 dot 255. This is the last IP address. This is last in the sequence. I'm not talking about last valid, not a valid kind of stuff. It's just IP address starting is 0.0.0, ending is 255, 255, 255. So totally 4.3 billion IP addresses. Okay, so you have to rate. So complete range is 0.0.0 to 255.255.255.255. This is complete range of IP address. Okay, got the point, guys? IP address range, total IP address range divided into classes. So there is a question, last time one batch got this question, why we divide IP address into classes. So there is several reasons are there, guys. Look at here, This is totally 4.3 billion straight IP addresses. For example, in a network, we have a IP address assignment, like I give this IP address to you, IP address to you, IP address like that. So what happened? 4.3 billion IP addresses will be completed within a less than 2-3 days only. I given IP addresses to individual computers. This is not enough now. So why? Because of, if you take myself, I have a computer, I have a laptop, I have a mobile phone, and there is a Kindle. Earlier we have a Echo Dat. Now I will buy it new one compulsory. Recently we got some offer in a Google Home with Lenovo. And there is a tablet, Realme tablet is there, and my owner and neighbors also using my Wi-Fi. Okay, if you go to my sister's home, we have mobile phones, laptops. Okay, my laptop, my sister laptop, each one having 2 mobile phones. Now I have only single mobile phone, of course, one tablet extra. Okay, in my home, my father mobile phones, mother, my nephew, a laptop, TV, like this. In one single home only, at least requirement of 5 IP addresses. Think about in India. India has a almost 1.3 to 1.4 billion people are there. Billion people, 1.3 billion. At least think half a billion people are using, like at least 1 billion people, 1 billion IP address for only for Indian computers. At least half billion people are using a computers and mobile phones. So then almost 1 billion IP addresses are required. So we have only 4.3, 1 billion only for India and rest of the world. Big countries like China, big countries like China, think like what China. That is another country. So they will use at least another 1 billion IP addresses. If you like, it's a very big development. Most of the people we have their it's like, so they need at least 1.2 or 1.5 billion IP addresses. So meaning is only 2 billion is available now. And America, Australia, European countries. So you don't get enough of IP addresses if you assign each individual IP address to devices. Got it? So to manipulate further, we are divide these IP addresses into classes, and we use it for a different type of purposes. So that's why we are divided. And that is one kind of reason. There are several other reasons also there. But presently, we see what are the classes. Class A, Class B, Class C, Class D, Class E. Class A range, here it is. In a binary way, you can write, it is starting is IP address is 0.0.0, right? So like first octet. I forget that point, I didn't put it, but I will add that point after this one. The class A range is 0 to 128. Meaning is 0 to 127. So not 128, sorry, mistake. So forget about a first 0. So first class A, the first point, the first one, what are it is? The first one bit will be MSB will be remains. Remaining bits become all are ones only. So that is a 0 to 127. If you search in a certain textbooks, they write like this, 1 to 126 only, because there is a reason is there. Reason is the 0.0.0.0 starting with the 0, also we don't use it. This is reserved IP address for a certain protocols. It is reserved for a certain protocols. Next, already I told 127.0.0.1. It's also reserved IP address for a local host or a loopback. Loopback means for self-testing purpose. It is a reserved IP address, and also we don't use 127 series. Not only one single IP address, entire 127 series we don't use means we don't assign to our regular NICs. We use 0.0.0, but it is reserved for a certain things like a DHCP or local means default routing. Okay, so DHCP client side, DHCP client source IP, it is default routing, unknown routing kind of stuff, default static routing kind of stuff. So there are different places we use this kind of IP address, but not assigned to any adapter. This also we don't assign to any adapter. So that is why in a certain textbooks or an internet, so it shows 1 to 126 or 0 to 126 like that. But this is the full one. Class B. You have to take the next IP address of this next number of that one. So like this. So 128. Here, second one. The first one, we keep the first one like that only. MSB, first bit, we keep it like this only. In a B, first two, we keep it like that only. The what is first two? 1 0. We keep the first two. This is first one, MSB 1. This is MSB first two. Remaining become ones only. Okay. So 1 0 is a constant here. So here it is 128. Decimal equivalent 128, 191. Next. So next number after this one is a binary next number. So class C, first three. Here is the first one, second, first two. Here is the first three will be like this only. And remaining become ones. So 192 to 223. The value of this one is 223. Okay. Next. 224 like a 111 0 0 0 0. So this is the next number of this one. So this is D. So again 1 2 3 1 2 3 4. 4 will keep it like that only. Remaining is become ones. So 224 to 239. E is here. So what are the last four become ones automatically. So last and final it is. So 242 to 55. So this is your class A, class B, class C ranges. Okay. In that one, class D is a multicast. Class D range is multicast. If you see any IP address starting with a 224, start with a 224 or 225 or a 239, whatever it is, 224 to 239. Any IP address starting with that IP address, it is a multicast IP address. This is specifically R&D. So from childhood onwards, they said it is research and development, or certain places only they use it. No one knows where we use this kind of stuff. Maybe some research facilities, supercomputers, are still research development, not yet released to the market. So your all IP addresses which we can able to assign, that is class A, class B, class C only. Class A, B, C, unicast IP addresses. Okay, class A, class B, class C, unicast IP address. Class D, multicast IP address. There is a broadcast IP address is there. This is specifically broadcast IP address. Broadcast address. The IP address also no follow. Class A, class B, class C is a unicast IP address. Class D is a multicast. 255.255.255 is broadcast to any broadcast type. Of course, automatic private IP address also we don't use it. The 169.254. This series is also reserved for a API part, so we don't use it. Okay, guys, these are the class ranges. Again, class A, class B, class C, class D. Anyone tell class A range? 0 to
127.
very good. Next, class B.
128 to 180.
Very good. Class C.
192 to 223.
Very good.
224 to 239.
Very good.
240 to 235.
Correct. So these are the class ranges. This much, when you see this much big, you think like, sorry, this much we have to read it. At least you can read this one, right? You can remember this one. Yeah. What is this classes and what is this ranges? We'll see. The first octet of IP address, you can say range. First octet of IP address tells class, tells us class based on class range. Okay. So how it is? For example, I have an IP address. I type this IP address so many times, right? So we'll see same IP address. You have to look at first at a class only, first octet only. Okay, first octet is 192. Where is 192 in this one? Here it is.
Class C.
This range. It is a very good class
C.
C IP address. I put a 83 dot 135 200 240. Which class it is? Always look at a first octet. What are the
Class A.
things here? Forget. Class
A.
A. Very good. You have to always look at a first octet only. Whatever the numbers are here, don't mind about it. First, we have to look at this. It's a class A. Of course, you have to check IP address. No octet is more than 255. Second, for classes, to find a classes, always look at the starting only. Which class it is?
Class B.
Class
B.
183.
Class
183
B.
is between class B. 183 is between class B. So we'll see the class C also. Again, which class it is?
C.
Class. So 202. We have to look at 202. Where is the 202? It is in between these things. So it is a class. So guys, understand
Yes,
how
sir.
to understand the classes, which class your IP address is belongs to. Are you can able to identify which class it is?
Yes, sir.
Very. Okay. So each IP address is divided into host portion and network portion. So that's also we'll discuss here. Okay. So what is host? What is network? Otherwise, we got the point, right? So host portion, network portion. Again, we'll go up. Class A, sorry, IP addresses 32-bit, 2 to the power of 32, 4.3 billion IP address represented in decimal, divided into 4 octets. 4 octet means 32 by 4. So each octet is 8 bits. So totally it is 4 octets means 8 into 4, 32 bits. Okay. So each octet is 8 bit. Each bit means 0 or 1 means like this. This is the 8 bit. So starting of this 8 bit is 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, like 0 to 255. Okay. So each octet maximum size is either 0 to 255 only, not more than 255. Okay. Next. So total IP addresses, if you write, it is 4.3 billion IP addresses, starting with 0.0.0, and last one is 255.255.255. The total IP addresses are divided into 5 classes. Divided into 5 classes. Class A, Class B, Class C, Class D, Class E. Okay. Each class range is 0 to 127. Class B 128 to 191, 192 to 223, 224 to 239, 240 to 255. Class A, Class B, Class C are unicast IP addresses, which IP address we use our purpose only, or networking purpose. Multicasting IP addresses are Class D IP addresses. It is used by certain services. We don't use it directly to assign IP address, but it is used for a multicasting. Some 10 protocols or certain services use it. So class is R&D, maybe they use for some special purposes. Don't go for it. 0.0.0.0 is a reserved IP address for a certain services. And also we don't use IP address starting with a 0. Whatever it is afterwards, but starting with a 0, we don't use it. So that's why in a class A, in certain places, they use only 1, starting with 1 only. Next one is 127.0.0.1 is also reserved IP address for a local host and loopback. Last palm only I told. So every PC, their self, it is a local host. Like you want to call to someone, you have to call the person with a name, right? So like a Rajesh or a Ravi, or like that. So we put a name to call. But from you are telling yourself, like yourself only you are telling. So it is myself. So it's like a computer itself kind of stuff is a local host. Okay, every PC itself is a local host, and the itself IP address is 127.0.0.1. Okay, and also there is an IP address called a 255.255.255 is broadcast IP address, and there is a 169.254 series is there, that is a APIPA series. And of course, there is some more things we don't use it, but still okay. Okay. So to manage the IP address efficiently, we are divide IP addresses into classes. Efficiently, we are using the first octet of IP address. First octet of IP address will tell the class of IP address based on the class ranges. Look at the first octet of the IP address, and you can tell which class it is. You can tell which class it is. So this is about your first part of IP address. Second, I will tell network portion, host portion, and subnet mask. Okay, so that then we'll finish. Okay. Now, guys, take a 5 minutes break again. You want a 5 minutes or 10 minutes? Take 10 minutes. Okay, take a 10 minutes break. Back at exactly 1.